Welcome to Fantasy Football Hub for the next episode in the My Team series. Today, I'm joined by one of the most requested guests so far. The comments, John, have been flooded with your name. You're loved around these parts. It is, of course, John Nellis. Absolutely love me. I couldn't believe it. Some of the comments, bring back John, trending pretty much in the Fantasy Football Hub YouTube comments. How are you doing, mate? How have you been? What's going on?
I'm great. I'm absolutely great. My dog just came in to say hello. But no, this season, obviously last season, anyone doesn't know, I was kind of doing the U job last summer.
Yeah.
Did it for a bit of the season. Then we passed the torch over to yourself, who by all accounts has been smashing it. The subscribers are growing. You're having a great preseason. So I'm back to build my team. And I was always the chump on the channel talking to experts. So that's probably going to show today.
No, now it's me. Now you can show your expertise. Yeah, well, we've just been talking off camera, and John's been saying that he's still been tinkering, as we all have, really. Just a few days to go before the deadline now. But
I thought it was locked, and then I was like, no, I'm doing this. I need to have another look. And then I made the mistake of like taking out Trent and giving myself like an extra 3 million in the bank. And then I was like, okay, then I could take out you and take out you and take out you and then upgrade. And I was just like, it ended up this mess. So I've kind of reverted back, and I'm going to stick with this. And I'll tell you my logic. I have a bit of money in the bank, but there's a couple of days to go.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see how we go. As always, we're going to be building this on Fantasy Football Hub's My Team tool. If you want to do the same and get a team rating at the end, the link to do so is down below in the description as always, and it is completely free. That is the beauty of it. Don't even necessarily need to sign up. Okay, John, start us off in goal. Who have you got?
So back up like everyone, Areola. Areola's in there, 4 million. Just kind of picked himself. And then I've went with Onana. Didn't like seeing him getting chipped in the preseason game there, but I just think like at that value, Man United, I think they could keep lots of clean sheets this season. They've been pretty decent in defense the last few years. And yeah, I think this is probably somewhat the meta pick. Like a lot of these players that maybe don't deserve too much of a justification. Everyone's probably heard it already, but I think Wolves opener will learn a lot. Spurs, depending on whether or not they've still got Harry Kane, it's a decent fixture in game week 2. Then Nottingham Forest, and yeah, I think Onana's stats when he was at Inter, he's basically one of the best shot stoppers in the globe. So hopefully he racks up some save points if he actually has to make saves. So yeah, Areola and Onana, pretty predictable, I would guess.
Yeah, makes complete sense. Let's move on to a man that you mentioned in the introduction then, and Trent's inclusion in this team, because that is a contentious one.
Yeah, I think Trent's one of those that he's at 8 million now, and with his FPL royalty, he's fantasy royalty, and he's going to be playing maybe more pushing, like, because he's seen towards the end of last season, we've seen him with England, more of a midfield role, maybe in transition into attack. I think he'll obviously still, I know Szoboszlai's there now as well. There'll be a bit of competition, maybe. I don't actually know how many, like, I know he's a lethal free kick taker, so I haven't looked at preseason, I haven't really checked who's been doing what, but my gut tells me there might be a little bit of competition there for the right foot set piece taker. I'm just guessing. But it is Trent Alexander-Arnold. Maybe he just takes them all anyway. But my point is, I can see why people are shying away from him. 8 million. And, spending that 8 million further up the pitch, and then you could pick up a 5 million defender. It makes a bit more sense than I think up top when you're going with Haaland. I'm stuck with a couple of budget guys that we'll get into. But so I think for like team distribution, Haaland or Trent doesn't make much sense, price points.
Sure.
But it's Trent Alexander-Arnold. I think he'll get more goals this season. We've seen him score a few belters. I think he'll create just as many chances as he ever has. I don't know. I just think people can sometimes overthink it. It's Trent Alexander-Arnold. He's 8 million. If he was a midfielder, you'd be picking him.
I completely agree. I think that's I think the main point is that people are forgetting who this man actually is and how good he's been for so many years. And also the back end of last year, he was on fire again in that new role. Yeah, he's a lot of money, but it's worth it, isn't it?
I think so. I think a lot of like just Liverpool assets. Well, obviously everyone's loving Salah, but like Liverpool were pretty poor at the start of last season for maybe the first half of the season and even then some. But like the end of the season, they were on fire. The pre-seasons looked decent. And I just think like Trent, he's 8 million. I want them. And do you know what it is? It's also about trying to play the game as what you want. I love Trent. Yeah. I want to follow Trent. I want to see Trent playing well. So I want him in my team. And whether or not that's the meta, whether or not that's optimal, Trent's in my team. And I know he'll be there in 3 days' time.
I like that reasoning a lot. Okay, who is going to join him in defence?
Now, this is where it gets a little bit template and boring. So, Gabriel and Estupiñán, I'll lump them in together. 5 million options, fixtures, attacking potential. Yeah, they just make the most sense. That's why everyone's picking them for me.
Sure.
So they're in there as well. I've got John Stones at 5.5 million. There's talk there that I could make him into Chilwell. I don't know. I just like the idea of a defensive City asset. They're City. The only thing here, time will tell. Gvardiol's a big signing. I think there'll be a lot of rotation at backline as always. They're talking about re-signing Kyle Walker. Not that they're extending his contract or whatever, because he was obviously linked with Bayern Munich, wasn't he? They have so many Pete mouths to feed there with the Walkers and the Akanjis and the Diaz's, Stones, Gvardiols, Laportes, whoever else is. Has Laporte moved? He hasn't moved, has he? I always think he's gonna move.
He's not moved as it stands, but yeah, he hasn't played. He hasn't played for City in a while in a big game. So with Guardiola coming in, you'd think he'd be on his way out. But as of yet, I don't believe he's moved. No.
I didn't even mention Ake either. My point is,
yeah,
I kind of like Stones, but he is one in this team that I think, maybe I will switch him up. I think he's probably the most nailed of the defenders, but I don't know. What are your thoughts on Stones?
Well, I will say that the AI and the hub tools absolutely love him because as you say, there are a lot of mouths to feed, but he is one of the most nailed City defenders, and the stats are always so good. They are the best defense statistically. If he does move into sort of a midfield role, we're not entirely sure if he will or not, but if he is kind of playing a bit higher up the pitch, that could be good for his attacking output as well. Yeah, he's one of those that when we get into the AI recommended transfers later on in this video, he's one that a lot of FPL experts teams are saying, you need to get Stones in for that City defensive coverage, which you have. So it makes sense.
I think as well, when I was looking up on the toolbox on Hub, I was looking at the fixture analyzer in terms of clean sheets, like City are far and away above the best team. Now that maybe doesn't surprise anyone, but I just think it'd be nice to have a bit of cover there.
Yeah.
So Stones. And then I've went as a wee 4 mil Bayer. It might be a more optimal guy for 4 million. I just know he was very good in the Championship, and if that can in any way translate to the Premier League, which I don't think it will. It wouldn't surprise me if Burnley were that really hard. You remember like Sheffield United a few seasons ago where it was like, remember the Lundstrom season where it was just like no one expected them to do anything, and they didn't really do much, but they didn't really concede much.
No, they were great. They played solid stuff. Yeah.
The problem is company can be quite attacking. But anyway, I've picked Bayer. It's a bit of a throwaway one, 4 mil. Let's not deep it.
I will say that Micah Richards was very bullish on Bayer. Watched a lot of Burnley last season and was very impressed by him. Very good on the ball, apparently. I can't say that I know too much about him, but as far as a 4 million defender goes, looks pretty solid. Okay, that is a defence. Who is in the midfield?
Matoma's there at 6.5. This is pretty star-studded midfield. Again, fixtures. He was lethal last season. Brighton. I've tripled up on Brighton. Spoiler alert. But
Ooh.
There's nothing else really to say. I could go on and on, but Matoma, cracking FPL asset, Brighton, cracking team. I think they'll finish top 6 this season.
Sure thing.
Eze at Palace, and I'm not too sure on this one. And this is a position that could change. I like Eze as a pick. I think he played really well, but with the likes of Elise linked out, I think Palace actually might struggle this season. Zaha's gone, which was a lot of their goals. So either that void is filled or they struggle big time.
Yeah.
And I'm not quite sure which way it's going to go. So on the face of it, based off last season's form and stats and numbers and all the rest, I kind of like Eze, but equally, I think they might have a tough season. But I'm willing to give him Sheffield United in the first game week to suss it out.
That's a very good point because, you're right. Like now that the likes of Zaha are gone, people are like, okay, Eze's on penalties, which is obviously a plus. But you're correct. Like if the onus for him is on him to contribute all those goals and assists that were in the team last year. Not that there were loads of them, but, get up to higher numbers because of the players that are now missing. Mm-hmm. Yes, he could fill that void, but it's also very hard to do that. It's not a guarantee that, because he is still there, he's going to be the one that gets the goals and assists. If the team doesn't perform as well, then he's not going to get loads of points. So, very solid pick, I will say, but we're not entirely sure how he's going to perform and how Palace are going to perform as a whole. So, he's in a few teams. I will say he's growing in popularity, but those are the two 6.5s that you've chosen.
Yeah, but as I say, money in the bank. So Eze is one that's up for debate too. And it is, as I say, not to dwell on the point too long. When you look at Crystal Palace's team on paper, Edward Mateta up top, and a midfield, you're looking at Eze, Lerma, Ahamada, Ayew, Elise, who's probably gone, Schlupp. I just kind of look at it and I go like, oh, you're in trouble. Unless you sign people, you're in trouble. So live on air, I'm pretty much deciding that Eze is not the best pick. So that one might be revisited, but we'll stick with it for the sake of the video.
Wow.
I've talked myself out of it. This is the beauty of tinkering leading right up to the deadline. But Eze there, we'll leave him in for now. So Martinelli at 8 million is my next pick. I've tripled up on Arsenal. Another player to come. Martinelli was originally Odegaard, but I decided to save a half mil. I was properly on the fence. I think with Odegaard, you've got more guaranteed minutes. I think Martinelli could be rotated a small bit. I think Odegaard is captain, will get more minutes. I think Odegaard's also just as likely to get points. But I think for the 0.5 mil saving, I've went for it. And while I have money in the bank, you may be like, why do you need to save your half mil? I'll tell you why. I've kind of earmarked something for a few weeks time, which is never a good idea in FPL because it's not really going to work out that way, and I know it isn't, but let me have it. And equally,
you never know.
the 1.5 million might be spent the next day or two. But Martinelli's there beside Saka. I think Arsenal are going to be lethal this season. I'd love to say they'll win the title. The problem is Man City are just Man City, and they go and spunk over 100 million or whatever it is in Gvardiol because they can, to have another centre back option, and they've just got everyone. And I just think it's City's to lose, but Arsenal, I think their recruitment's been incredible. I think Declan Rice is a top signing for them. That's stating the obvious, but like I think he's exactly what they needed. And I think Jurrien Timber's also an outstanding player.
Yeah.
I watched him a lot at Ajax, and I think he'll do really, really well. Havertz, never really fit in at Chelsea, but if you look back to Leverkusen, maybe playing, and Chelsea was very disjointed the whole time, really. I think Havertz, if he can play any way how he did back at Leverkusen, like he has the quality. It's about the system, and if Arteta can get the best out of him, I think they're going to do amazing. So my point is, Martinelli and Saka could just get better.
Yeah.
I think this season.
They've had a great window, no doubt. I mean, those three signings are excellent. Yeah, Timber and Rice speak for themselves. You're right with Havertz, because the only real time where the team, Chelsea, was set in stone and was playing well and everyone knew what they were doing, Chelsea won the Champions League, and he was obviously integral in that side. So in the same sort of structure at Arsenal, where everyone knows what they're doing and the team is really well set up and he'll learn whatever position he ends up playing in, he could do really well. He's obviously a great player, and we've seen that in the Bundesliga before. But yeah, I think it's a good signing. Okay, so that is 4 midfielders. Are you going for a fifth starting?
I am. Bruno Fernandes. I just think 8.5 million. I can't remember what he was last season, but this has to be his cheapest in forever.
Well, I think he came into the league at 8 million, and then he went up to like 12 after that season.
Yeah,
so
stupid.
Last year I think he might have been 10 and a half roughly, or maybe
he was
11,
a lot.
Might be wrong, but was way more than this.
Way more than this. I just saw it and thought, yeah, that's great value. I think United will do better this season. Yeah, I think Ten Hag has them firing all cylinders. It's some really promising signs last season. I think they've a lot of depth as I look through the whole team. Hoyland coming in adds a bit up top. Martial, there'll be a bit of rotation up top. I wouldn't be going for any other strikers, to be honest with you. But midfield, I just think they've got options now. And I just think Bruno's the one he's always going to start. So go for him. I think they're going to smash it. So good fixtures. Wolves, Nottingham Forest, and 2 of the first 3. Spurs, as I said before. We'll see how they go. Depends on what they do with Harry Kane. But and to be honest with you, what Postecoglou does, it's one thing, his system with Celtic in a league where they dominate anyway, and they're better than everyone by miles. Be interesting to see how his systems translate to the Premier League. But Bruno Fernandes is Bruno Fernandes, and that's why I picked him. I don't know if I need to keep going.
The predicted points there are clear for Bruno, but I don't think they're even that necessary. We know how good he is. It does, though, mean that you don't have Rashford in your team.
Yeah, I know. I've just...
You can't have everyone, of course.
Yeah, but this comes back to the whole Trent thing, doesn't it? If I free up the money from Trent, maybe Eze could go up to a Rashford, or I actually think like a Martinelli could go all the way up to a Salah, or I could change one of these cheap forwards to a Watkins. I don't have a Watkins, spoiler, but like I think Trent, I just love them too much and I want them, but maybe it's not optimal. But if we all had the same teams, it'd be a very boring game, wouldn't it?
That's very, very true. That is very, very true. Let's get on to the forwards then.
Okay, so I've went and just thrown McAtee in as the backup.
Sure.
4.5 million. That could be anyone. I don't really care. I just wanted a team that I'm not going to block myself with. A team that I'm definitely not going to want 3 of, and I highly doubt I'm going to want 3 Luton players. So McAtee in. I've went for João Pedro, and I will say I've had him in for a while.
Have you really? That is actually very. I like that a lot, because now he is coming to the fore. People are speaking about him, but they weren't a week ago.
He's in fashion. And rightly so. And I know I could be bluffing and telling you crap and could have popped him in 10 minutes ago, but I mean, I've had him in for a while. I just think, I thought he looked lethal. When I watched, it was Chelsea they played in pre-season, and the reason I'm saying was because I came home from the pub, it was on America, and I was, I had a few too many.
We did play them in pre-season though, yeah.
So I came home, it was 4-3.
4-3, yeah, exactly.
But I just thought he looked great, and I seen the penalty, and I thought, penalties, we'll wait and see. And he's took another one with Gross in the pitch, so it's just further cemented him. I think at 5.5 million, every season there's one of these guys who's super cheap who comes through, and if he can keep minutes, and everyone's going about Kudus and whatever else, if he's playing well and if he's as sharp as he's looking pre-season, I can't see any reason why he'd be dropped. You fit them all on the pitch. I don't know. Yep, could minutes be an issue? Yeah, but like for 5.5 million, I'm willing to roll the dice for the first few. Luton, Wolves, and West Ham. And this is where my cunning plan before I get to my final player, who's going to amaze you all. I've 1.5 million left in the bank at the end of all this, and I think João Pedro's fixtures get a bit awkward in game week 4 when you've got Newcastle and United. Now, depending on his form, you might just want to hang on to him until they see Bournemouth. But like a player who I'm very bullish on this season, I just need to wait for the fixtures to turn, and I just need to wait and see a little bit more, is Nicholas Jackson at Chelsea.
There
I think
he
could.
is.
I think he could absolutely rip it up. The legs that man has, and he was so good at Villarreal. I'll do without him. I'm actually going to the Chelsea-Liverpool game, so might be a bit of scouting going on there.
Yeah.
But leave him out for that. But from game week 3, if he's looked good enough against Liverpool or West Ham, Luton, Forest, and Bournemouth 3, 4, and 5. If I have $1.5 million, I could go Pedro up to Nicholas Jackson potentially. But I know penciling that in is never going to happen because someone's going to get injured or a red card, or there's going to be someone else who scores a hat trick in game week 1. But that's kind of my cunning plan with João Pedro and a bit of money in the bank. And then the final player is obviously Erling Haaland.
Yeah,
I would love to go without. I would love it.
Do it then. I dare you. I
will do it. I will do
Really?
it. But everyone's going to say, John, you're an absolute idiot. I would love to go Haaland drop down and just go like all the big boys. But I can't do it because he's... The problem is, right, I actually thought about this today. The thing with Haaland is, what are you playing FPL for? Are you playing FPL to win the game? Or are you playing to have a top 10k rank? Or are you playing to just to beat your mates, right? If you're playing to, honestly, now someone call me out in game theory, right? I'm not trying to say this is optimal. If you're trying to win the game, I actually think there's something to be said. But who's trying to win the game? There's over 10 million people. But if you go without Haaland, and if he blanks in the first couple and picks up a wee injury or something, you've got a massive leg up on everyone else. If you go with Haaland, you're not going to lose, but you're not going to win either. 86.5%, like, you can't go against that. If he scores a hat-trick, you're screwed. Your game's over. Like, what killed me last season... It killed me last season was not captaining him for his, like, 5-goal thing or whatever he did. He did something mad.
Early season.
23 points or something, and it ruined my whole season. I lost like 500,000 rank or something. But I'm not gonna have the balls to do it. But I'd love to see in the comments like what people think about it. Like, it depends what you're playing for. If you're trying to win, you need to be different. And I think I'm digging myself a hole. Being different isn't Haaland, is it?
Well, yeah. The thing is though, right? And I actually need to be careful with what I say here because you know people do very well when they stick to the template team and then they differentiate at the end of the season. However, have we ever seen anyone that does that actually get close to winning? Because there's a difference, I think, between an amazing finish, say like a top 1k. We've seen some content creators get in the hundreds before. But if you come, say, 500, compared to first, that's still so many points behind because it would be about 100 points. It's loads. The difference between the top 100 in points is crazy. Like, it's way more than the difference between 1k and 1.5k, for example, because you have that kind of, you know, randomness or crazy variance at the top end, where perhaps people have decided early season to just go for these sort of risks. And say you were to get Salah in there instead of Haaland, captain Salah game week 2 and Haaland blanks. That is what, 30 points perhaps that you're gaining on everyone else? It's
more as a conversation point.
Yeah.
You know, this isn't necessarily me or you're saying like, oh, this is what you should do. It's more just to try and be a bit more interesting with the Haaland thing. Like, part of me has thought, like, I risk losing everything in the opening 2 weeks. But equally, I could be sitting first in the world. Whereas none of those 86.5% that have picked Haaland, I don't think. There's some of them, one of them probably will, off the law of averages, 86.5%. One of them probably will be first in the world. But the point is, going against the grain in normal like fantasy competition can help you get higher. It gives you more variance. Whereas if you're sticking with a pack, you're going to be somewhere in the middle. It's something I thought. I'd love to do it for the
like
crack.
that.
Because I'm not taking
if you want to win it,
this season.
Why not? Yeah.
I might do it. I'll be talk of the town in the FPL scene. Look at this guy. Right, I might try it. Anyway, what rating did I get?
Well, I know you love a short. That would make for a pretty amazing short, don't you think? I was the only person to not go for Haaland. I'm winning FPL after 2 game weeks.
Yeah, I didn't go for Haaland, Saka, Gabriel, or Estupiñán.
Exactly, like all these sheep like me.
Yeah.
There you go. I mean, you could still go for Haaland and captain someone else. I think perhaps that is the more reasonable thing to do, which is still very aggressive. But I need to ask you before we get to the team rating, who's going to start? Right now, João Pedro is on the bench according to the predicted points, but Stones is playing, Trent's playing. What would you do there?
Against Luton, I'll probably start João Pedro. Oh, I've actually left myself a bit of bench headache, haven't I? Oh, it's going to be one of the defenders.
It's not great, but you know.
See, this is why people don't have Trent. Because realistically, probably Eze. Well, it's Sheffield, though. You don't bench him against Sheffield if you have him. Can I play 12? I'm going to bench boost game week 1. No, I don't know. I think I'd pick a defender just out of boringness, but I'd probably pick like a Gabriel or Stones.
I think Burnley could score. All
right, put Stones on the bench. This is why this team needs changed. But yeah, we'll go with that. And obviously you have to captain Haaland if you have him. Yeah, got him as captain for sure. I tell you what, it's a very strong rating. 95%. Is it? Yeah. Oh, that's decent. 95%. It's good. Micah yesterday got 92%. They're doing better than him.
which is good.
The man needs to learn his ball, you know.
Absolutely. I mean, he had some interesting picks in there, good differentials, but they don't do well, I would say, in terms of the predicted points, which is what this is based on. 95%, I'll be honest, it puts you kind of middle to bottom of the road. We've seen some amazing scores.
All these lads are plugging them in first and seeing
I think they
and they're
might
tinkering.
be. I think they might be. We've
I've
seen a few
bit of that last
99s,
season.
you know, quite a few 99s, to be honest. Yeah.
So what am I suggested to do?
Right. That's what we're going to get into right now. AI recommended transfers to try and get you up to that 100% team rating. Okay, John. So here are your AI recommended transfers. Guys, if you want to get your own personalized AI recommended transfers for your team, the link to do so and sign up to Fantasy Football Hub is down below in the description. Right now in preseason, 50% off if you get it done before game week 1. And if you don't win your mini league, you'll get all your money refunded to you. That is how confident the guys at the site are in the product. An amazing deal. Get down in the description and take advantage of these AI recommended transfers personalized to your team. John, one thing you mentioned just there was the fact that you have to bench Stones. I think these transfers kind of rectify that. I'm going to hear your thoughts on that. But first of all, Onana goes to Steele to get you a little bit of money. So keep that in mind. But what that allows you to do is put Eze up to Rashford. Now, obviously, you still need some cash there, but Eze up to Rashford is quite strong. That does, though, mean that you need to sell João Pedro for Mubama, who would go onto your bench as a 4.5 million forward. So what this does is it promotes Stones into the team. As I mentioned, that the tools love City defence. But you get Rashford in instead of Eze, and the keeper changes a little bit as well. What do you think about that?
I don't hate it. It's still 100% nailed on with Verbruggen there.
We don't know for sure, but I would suggest yes at the start of the season. That's what Brighton fans are saying.
You know what? I kind of like Brighton's fixtures. I kind of like their defense. You know, I'm not entirely against it. I just think I want João Pedro. Maybe I go Matoma. No, I'm not getting rid of Matoma. I like it. That would get me to what rating? Do we know?
Oh, I'm not sure, but we can find out.
I've just ruined your video.
No, we'll do it. Okay, so with those transfers in, you now have a 99% team rating, which is the highest that we've seen out of anyone.
Okay. Never say never. It does tempt me. I just Steele. I need to go and read on Steele. But it does tempt me, and I think I can see what the algorithm's saying. I know Eze's pretty poor, and I know Rashford's what everyone wants, so I think that's a huge upgrade.
Well, I mean, to be fair, Eze's not bad on predicted points at all. I think the thing is that, yeah, it loves Rashford, and obviously you can't really argue with Rashford's fixtures. And it means that the money that you were speaking about, you know, being on your bench or not being utilised perhaps, or still in the bank, has been used more in the team. I will say that you do actually still have 0.5 million in the bank with this team. It's not said to use all the money, which that's quite nice.
Yeah, you know. Bit of flexibility after we have a bit more information.
Exactly. And it does mean that Stones comes into the team as well, which is pretty good. As I said, it absolutely loves the City defense. That is going to do it. So a 95% team, but with those transfers could go up to a 99% if you fancy it. But yeah, guys, if you would like to get your own team rated for free, links to do so down below. And then if you like what you see, sign up to the site. And if you don't win your mini league, you get all your money refunded. There are T's and C's there, but wow, what a deal. John, thank you very much. A pleasure to have you back on the channel. I hope the comments are going to stop now. Bring back John. He's here. Okay, I've got him back for one special video. But
don't worry, the comments will all be giving me crap.
Do you reckon? No
way, Haaland. No Haaland. What? I went for that.
Yeah. Well, I will say, if you guys are wondering what John is up to these days, he's absolutely killing it on his own YouTube channel. Some of the videos on there are brilliant. So please do go ahead and find the link that I've left in the pinned comment and the description as well for John's channel. Killing it with some long form football content over there. Really original stuff. John, thank you very much. And guys, I will see you all on the next episode in the My Team series.